Ironman is possibly the ultimate sporting challenge, a one-day event that pushes professional and amateur athletes to their limit. It's a grueling test of body and mind. And Ironman Wales takes place in the seaside resort of Tenby in Pembrokeshire, and every year the event gets bigger and better. The scenery is quite breathtaking. The course, though, knocks you down. The support always lifts you up. All Ironman events start with a 2.4-mile swim. On this occasion, 2 laps that include a dash around Gossage Rock, the Australian exit. The best will do it in under 50 minutes. Then they have a 112-mile bike ride around Pembrokeshire. Hills, fans, more hills. That may be all they remember on this occasion. And then they have the marathon to run, 26.2 miles around the streets of Tenby, that hopefully will end with a glorious finish in the seaside town. Almost 2,000 athletes signed up for this year's event and up since 3 a.m. to prepare for an early start. There are 2 giants from the rugby world competing, Ryan Jones and Ian Goff. They're both experienced Ironmen. In fact, they both raced here last year. There are many in the field that haven't raced in Wales and they haven't done an Ironman before. This is some baptism.
It's my first time, so just want to get in the water and get going, really.
I love the swim, so love getting in, getting started and getting out to that first buoy and then starting to smile, knowing you're coming back in.
Very, very excited, ready to just get this underway now, get it started and get on with it.
The pro men going first, as usual. Philip Graves, second last year to Mark Juleson, only 1 minute 17 off the win. He's been looking and sounding positive this season. Be interesting to see what he can do today.
I feel like I'm probably a couple of months ahead of where I was last year. And obviously I've got one of these under my belt already, so I sort of know where it's going to hurt and where to sort of back off a bit, which I think is a massive advantage, so we'll just have to see what it brings.
Cameron Worth, Olympic rower, pro cyclist, he's had a good look at the course already.
I think it's quite a technical course, you know, swim with that exit, you know, the bike up and down and twisty, and I guess I'm probably going to deal with the conditions maybe better than most, and yeah, I'm here to try and win. So that's what I'm going to try and do.
Well, those are certainly 2 of the main competitors, but a field of 30 pro men. Watch out for Matt Lehmann. He did 46.36 in Nottingham. Great swimmer. Kristian Kramer of Germany's there. Xavier Torrades of Spain. He's a good swimmer. And don't forget Harry Wiltshire. Keep an eye out for that straight left arm of his. He's likely to want to feature in this one. And always takes a certain pride in being the first out of the water. So the men away, and vitally important to get on the feet of someone who swims just that little bit faster than you. There'll be a lot of competition out there in the early stages. Paris Edwards and multiple Ironman winner Lucy Gossage racing in the women's field.
I'll race what I can do, and in Ironman it's always race to the last 10k of the run, see where you are, and then, you know, then it's a 10k running race. And I'm here to try to win it, but I can only do what I can do.
Kate Comber swam under 50 minutes last year. She's likely to be the first out.
I've done it 2 times before, once as an age grouper and last year as a professional, so I know the course, I know what's in store out there.
Well, that's not the case for many of the athletes. Very eager to get in the water. Months and months of training for many of these athletes. For some, it may be their first big event of the year. For all of them, it's going to be a massive occasion. So the first lap of the swim completed by the pro men, and Harry Wiltshire, as expected, leading the group. He's got, 5-10 metres over the chasers. And that's a very handy swim. He's on schedule for just under 48 minutes and desperately trying to break the hold of those behind him. Anthony Costas is in there. Kristian Kramer. We've got Phil Graves in the black wetsuit with the blue shoulders. Romain Guillaume is there. Cameron Worth is there as well. And Matt Lehman, who's another very good swimmer indeed. So all the big guns in that leading group as they set out on the second lap of this 2.4-mile course. A little further back, everyone just settling in at their own pace. They'll know exactly what they've done in training, and they'll all have a target time. It's a long, long day for some. Remember, to achieve Ironman status, you have to complete the course in under 17 hours. The winners should be able to crack 9 hours. It's a windy day, and the forecast doesn't look any better for later on in the day. A little bit of rain forecast, and certainly the wind will slow down the bike times. Harry Wiltshire out of the water, working his way up towards the transition area, so that's another good swim for him. And another first out of the water feather for his cap. Matt Lehman, ex-Loughborough student, working his way into T1. Here comes Phil Graves, a powerhouse of a man. Watch him on the bike, should be able to do some damage. Costas. Well, that's a really good transition from Costas, and he's going to be the first away on the road. 112 miles to go. Kate Comber, another good swim, and that is pretty standard for her triathlons. Swimming certainly her best leg. Lucy Gossage, third woman out, and already getting into that running mode. Such a determined athlete, working part-time now, but she doesn't seem to have lost too many of the skills she's developed over the years. Phil Graves goes up into second place as he passes Lehman. Now, he always makes a good impression on the bike. Last year, remember, he finished second. He had a really good lead going into T2, and he worked hard on the bike and then struggled a little on the run. Did 3:06. I wonder whether he's going to employ different tactics this year. But he goes past Costas and into the lead.
I know I'm known as like a cyclist, and there's some really, really good cyclists here, but I'm actually quite excited to sort of get off the bike and see what I can run sort of in compared to last year, because I know I ran 3:06 last year. I've done a lot of long running, a lot of hard running, so we'll just see.
Cameron Worth from Tasmania, lives just outside Hobart. Brilliant cyclist, lightweight Olympic rower in his time, and certainly someone to watch today.
They say it's the toughest race sort of on the circuit, and you know, I've felt more comfortable, you know, in the harder races. I feel like, you know, it's hard for everyone, particularly on the bike. The bike being such a crucial part of any Ironman. This bike leg is quite a lot longer, as in time-wise, it's slower. So it seems I've found the race I do around the world, the longer the bike time, the more advantage I tend to be able to get.
Well, not many men managed to go under the 5-hour mark for this 112-mile bike ride, and this is a rare sight. Someone making Phil Graves look slow. Cameron Worth is flying at the moment. He's focused on TT racing this year as far as his bike riding goes. He's in his element at the moment. The third man is Kristian Kramer, 34-year-old from Mersburg in Germany. This is Lucy Gossage. She was third out of the water. She's moved into second place. She's already got 6 Ironman victories under her belt, and she trains something like 25 to 28 hours a week now that she's working part-time. Third place in the women is Hallam. Comber leading the way. 5:44 on the bike last year. There's quite a lot more wind than there was last year, so I think she might be pressed to match that. And Comber once again benefiting from a fantastic swim time. 5th last year, should make the podium this time around.
It's tough out there for sure, some of the hard climbs, especially when they come at the end when you're absolutely exhausted, but the crowds are amazing here, so for me it's one of my favourite courses because it's just, the support is incredible.
Well, it certainly is, and it gets better and better as the race goes on. Well, the clothing and the hair of the spectators giving away the fact that it's not warm and it's not easy conditions. Forecast is for it to change as the day goes on. You've just got to hope that you're not in an exposed area when the gusts come through. The hills exactly the same as they were last year, and there are plenty of them. Ian Goff, he's had a good swim and put a bit of distance between himself and Ryan Jones. 13:19.55 his time last year, and he spent 6:57 in the saddle.
Tough swim, but the hilly section's about to hit that, so this is where it starts getting nasty. But fun, lots of people on the course cheering. You know the weather's not amazing today, and everyone's got a sense of humour on the bike so far too, so long may it continue.
Will it be interesting to see which of the rugby players has bragging rights by the time this race is over. Saundersfoot, the toughest climb on the course. And here is Ryan Jones. Now he's another man who makes a bike look very, very small, but he seems to have a few issues. He's stuck in a very easy gear on a downhill section. He's got problems.
Bike's gone. Ryan, what's happened? Can't change gear. So last 20 or so mile I haven't been able to change gear.
Well, that's what you call a technical. That's one way of changing gear. Might lose a few toes before the end of the race, but that is going to cost him a lot of time.
Things we do for that medal.
What we do for that medal. Absolutely, but I hope that's an indication that he's going to continue despite the fact that he's got those problems. The fans come in all shapes and sizes, and plenty of different guises as well. Lucy Gossage 7 minutes behind after the swim, almost 3 kilometres behind the leaders on the road, but she's taken the lead and is doing what she does best, riding hard. Here's Cameron Worth coming into T2. Now he's clocked 4:57 on the bike ride. That is sensational. And he's built a 12-minute lead over Philip Graves of Great Britain. Graves needs to run sub 3 hours to win this one. The race is on. Welcome back to Ironman Wales. The first 2 phases complete, the 2.4 mile swim and the 112 mile bike ride, where the Australian Worth and Great Britain's Lucy Gossage made their moves. They led going through T2 and now running for glory here in Tenby. 26.2 miles to cover, 4 laps of the course, and the leaders with about 6 miles to go. Cameron Worth out on his own, and a very healthy lead of 12 minutes going through T2. Philip Graves was in the chaser's position, but Kristian Kramer of Germany has been absolutely flying on the course, and he's taken away some 7 minutes of that lead that Cameron Worth built up on the bike. Worth, of course, a pro cyclist. He knows the middle section is where he's got to make his move. And as soon as he can run sub 3 hours, he's going to be a very, very dangerous competitor. Philip Graves still pounding away, doesn't look quite as light on his feet. And you can see Kramer behind him. Now Kramer is running at around 2:55 pace, and we've got Phil Graves on around 3:05. So quite a difference between the two of them. Graves closing some 20 seconds per mile on the race leader. He needed that to be nearer to 30 seconds. But if Kramer can keep this pace going, and he's the one in the white t-shirt, he could well take the win here in Tenby, but he's got to keep this pace going, and he's still got 6 miles to go. The 20-mile mark, of course, in the marathon is often regarded as the hardest. That's where you tend to hit the wall. But bear in mind, these guys have already been out for some 7.5 hours. Well, Kramer having no problem. What about Lucy Gossage? Still looks light on her feet. What a sensation. She won a half iron distance race in Nottingham earlier in the season. She won Ironman UK in Bolton. And here she is, seemingly on her way to victory in Tembe. Second place, Paris Edwards, won the long course weekend here. This is her first ever Ironman, coming back from Lyme's disease, which really laid her low for 8-9 months. Comber in third position, having led out of the water, but with Rachel Hallam pulling out, she's now guaranteed a top 3 if she finishes. The masses, some walking, some running, all hurting at this stage. Ian Goff, he's no exception to get 6'4" and quite a few kilos around this course is no mean feat, and he still has an advantage over Ryan Jones.
It is what it is at this stage. Hanging on for dear life. Yeah, it's going to be a long day, I think. Tough.
Good, steady pace. But it's all in the mind at this stage, as it is for the race leader. Cameron Worth, he's well aware of what is going on behind, and he knows that Kramer is closing. Here is Kramer. And since he went past Graves, his stride has shortened a little. Now he's taking a detour and he's heading for the Portaloo. That could be bad news. If he's got gut problems, he is not going to challenge for the win today. And it's given Philip Graves an opportunity. He's back up into second place, but he's still some 700 metres down on the race leader. It looks as though he's going to be runner-up for the second successive year. Worth into Tembe for the final time, and most of the pain will disappear at this stage. He knows that victory is his, and he picks the pace up for the last couple of 100 metres. What a fantastic performance. This man is going a long way in the world of Ironman. He's qualified for Kona this year already. I wonder what he'll do there at the World Championships. Graves takes second, as he did last year. My goodness, that looked tough. Slower on the bike than we expected, but he's 3 minutes quicker on the run. He needed another 2.5 to catch Worth.
I've actually been training with Geraint Thomas, Wales' probably biggest cycling star the last few weeks. And G told me to expect the worst, and it'll probably be twice as bad as that. So I'm glad that he was really accurate. So I was kind of prepared for it. And I really had to put in an effort in that last 5K, but fortunately had enough of a cushion and was able to get it.
Graves under 3 minutes behind. Such small margins on such a long race.
They went really, really deep there, right to the end. The support here is so fantastic, and there's points where I was just going to bin it on the run, but my dad was like, just keep going for all those people who are supporting you out there. So that's what I did. It was a special day.
And lots of Kona points as a bonus. Kramer across the line. He gambled with the pace, but it didn't pay off on this occasion. He takes third.
It was really, really tough with the wind and with the rain, but yeah, it was a quite honest course, and I tried everything. I was down to the leader 2.5 minutes, and then I just blew up, so I'm pretty happy with the third place, that I rescued that place, yeah.
And here comes Lucy Gossage, the traditional finish from her. Watch this celebration. She's not shy. The champion in 2013 is champion again.
It was pretty epic. Yeah, the bike, well, it was biblical weather, I'd say. The run was amazing. I really enjoyed the run. The crowds, it's just bonkers. It's completely bonkers.
She's brilliant. Paris Edwards, second place. And Kate Comber, first out of the water, but still hangs on to third.
Tired. Yeah, that's knackering. That course just sucks everything out of you.
Celebrations all round. Worth He's come a long way from Tasmania, although he does a lot of training in the US, it has to be said. But he's shown himself to be full of potential, as have the thousands of athletes out there today. Ryan Jones, he's gone past Ian Goff. He's got a dirty face as a result of the mechanical problems he had with his bike. Over 7 hours on the bike today, but he's put in a good run.
Another 2.5 laps to go. How bad can it be?
Bizarrely, the harder it is, the better the memories are.
Fantastic. It was so fantastic.
It's incredible how some still have the energy for a smile and a press up. Some don't, understandably.
It's not called the hardest Ironman for no reason. It definitely is, like.
A crazy Ironman, but it's very, very pretty Ironman. It's beautiful, beautiful.
I've spectated this event twice before, and you know, it makes you want to do it.
Came in 2014, I said never again, but didn't last long.
Crowd are incredible, yeah. It's got me through the last lap, definitely. The best crowd I've ever had.
What an experience from start to finish.
How you don't cry and hold emotions back, it's just something else. It's just unbelievable. It's just fantastic.
The fading light indicating that 17-hour cutoff is approaching.
Thank you very much to supporters of Tenby. I only run because of them. They carry me through. Thank you very much.
And here comes Ryan Jones. 13 hours, 24 minutes, 7 hours, 11 minutes on the bike. Many would have given up with the problems that he had, but he knows that finishing is the first bit of payback to the family who've supported the venture.
Amazing though, it's just such a magical place, you know. Come here, you enjoy it and hate it, all in equal measure, but it's a tough day. My kids are here somewhere, it's all for them today.
Credit to Ryan for not giving up when his bike had a mechanical. Credit to Ian Goff for sticking at it. 13, 33, 33.
It's the best Ironman, I reckon, on the circuit, and that's why everyone comes to every year, and that's why Pembrokeshire and everyone around Wales embraces it and turns out in droves, and you won't get a better atmosphere than that.
The pros can now start thinking about their next event. Maybe it's the World Championships in October. The rest, well, they can put their feet up for a couple of weeks, but sure enough, they'll need another challenge to fill the void. Tenby and the people of Pembrokeshire have worked their magic once again.